I'm coming to you from the historic Clarksville neighborhood outside of downtown Austin, Texas. And if you remember this beauty, this is an 1880s restoration addition project our company did last year. It was just recently on the AIA Homes Tour. But on today's episode, we're directly across the street looking at this restoration remodel addition project. I've got the builder and the architect ready to go, and we're going to be talking about the very first install of a very cool window and door package. Let's get going. Look at this beautiful old house. Now I'm here with Jim LaRue. Jim is the architect on this project. Good to see you again, Jim.
Good to see you.
Little fun fact for those of you who don't know Jim. 10 years ago on YouTube, video number 3 I made about a hidden door that was on a house I just completed that you designed, Jim. You remember that video?
I remember the video.
We were looking a little bit younger
yeah,
back
a little
then.
younger.
Now what's going on in this project,
Well,
Jim?
now we've got us a 1920s bungalow right here in Clarksville, downtown Austin, Texas, where we're doing a renovation and remodel addition to this historic piece. So what we've done is keep the front facade just like it looked when it was built in the 1920s. The neighbors won't even be able to tell that we've changed anything about the front of this building.
Got it. So these are the original windows, but yet we've got some new sheathing going on. Is that right?
We got all new sheathing, some new framing, but these are the original windows. We've had them beautifully restored, reglazed. Once we get them painted, they'll look like they looked the day we put them in.
Love it. So basically the whole front facade, the punched openings, the front door, all these are refurbished parts, but yeah, we've got some new framing going on. And then what's going on with the deck here at the front?
So we had an old wood porch board deck that was rotting away like the rest of the house. So what we've done is take all that out, reframe it, waterproof it, and we're going to be coming back over the top of this with a beautiful teak deck.
Ooh,
so my clients will get the advantages of that teak and reduced maintenance, and we don't have to paint the porch boards. I think it'll be a beautiful contrast to what we're doing.
Yeah, and you've got that wraparound porch look similar to the other house that I refurbished on this street. But you've got some interesting nods here with the teak rather than maybe the original pine that might have been here, right?
Right. The wraparound porch was important. We had to keep the wraparound porch feature as part of the original architecture, so we'll be replacing the columns. Right now we have the inner structural portions of the columns up, then we'll be putting the new round columns on. We'll be putting the new 1x siding back up that precisely matches the original siding.
Wow, that's cool.
So it'll be beautiful. Then we'll paint everything white, the whole building, the ceilings, the fascia boards, the siding, the windows, everything will be white.
That's
and
cool.
then you have the beautiful contrast of the dark teak and the dark roof.
Oh, that's going to be beautiful, Jim. Now the front doors are refurbished as well, but this is some new, some old parts. Is that right?
Yeah, front door's redone. You know, the threshold's new, but we've got it had leaded glass, new door with the leaded glass insert, so we're putting those in late in the game.
Yep. So these are just temporary until the glass goes in later.
Some of those are protection. Some of the glass is already there. The transom at the door. The door shape we changed subtly. It had an oval door. We're replacing it with a more historically correct door solution.
Love it. Let's go and take a look, shall we?
Let's do it. Okay, Matt, this is it. Welcome to our 1920s bungalow foyer. Little room on the left, room on the right, just like it might have appeared when it was originally built.
Very traditional. Now, Jim, I'm seeing some old studs in these walls.
There are some old studs in these walls, and we built around those, and we kept what we could, but there was a lot of damage here.
Yeah, funny story. I actually interviewed for this project with you, Jim. And my friend Wes at Foursquare Builders is the builder here. We didn't get it, but man, this house was in terrible shape. And I love already what you've done with it. Obviously, we've got a basement underneath us here,
We
right?
do. We had a basement before, so we got a basement again. We're going to repurpose that space, but we are on a pier and beam foundation system.
Yep.
And
very traditional. We've got 2 bedrooms on either side. But as we look into the back of the house, I can tell it's not a bungalow past the foyer, is it?
No, it's not. It's not a bungalow. It's going to turn into a nice, beautiful piece of modern architecture. It's got a great view of downtown, and it's kind of what we do as a firm. In our firm, we work in a 2-man team, and the project manager and myself, and we take it all the way through. So the project manager, Emily Hayden, knows this building, but almost as well as Kevin, the construction manager, but she knows this building in and out, and she can take you through the modern addition.
Let's go see the details.
Okay.
Emily, man, this view is incredible. Look at this.
It's pretty awesome. Amazing downtown view.
My guess is this view had something to do with this design, didn't it?
100% designed around this.
I mean,
day
look,
in, day
we've
out.
got the Capitol beyond, we've got tower cranes everywhere. The city of Austin is just right here, right in your face. Incredible. Now, what is this big space we're in here? I was in the foyer with Jim right back here, and then you walk into this giant space with a downtown view. What do we got going on here?
So we're in an open floor plan, living, dining, kitchen behind.
And in this view is framed by this giant window and door system. What do we have going on here?
This is a Loewen timber frame curtain wall system. The head above the doors is the exact same dimension as a jamb, allowing for a seamless transition between the doors and the transoms above.
Ah, so that's how you're getting those really thin sight lines, basically.
Exactly.
Which
Matt.
means that probably you sunk a big steel beam up there. I can't see it because it's covered with wood, but there's probably a steel header across there. All of your trusses are bearing on that, so you've got this flat ceiling. And then you've got, what, a 2.5, 3-inch timber frame around this?
Close, Matt. 2 1/8.
2 1/8, okay.
Yes.
Which means that then your track is sunk in there, and the Loewen guys made those thin sight lines. And my guess is that even lines up on the jambs to the transoms. Is that right?
Everything aligns all the way up, and it's really a well thought out unit.
That's really cool. Now, for those who aren't familiar with lift and slides, walk us through how the client uses these doors.
Okay, so on a daily basis, when they're closed, you lift the handle, it unseals off the track, and then you push that unit aside.
Okay, so that's actually, when you're turning that handle, it's actually lifting that door up by like a 1/2 inch or so.
Exactly.
And then you've got just that little thin track that's bearing the roller weight onto, so that those doors are pretty easy to open, aren't they?
It really is pretty easy.
That's really cool. And then you've also got a man door off the side here, or a swing door. What's the thought between that?
So that door is also a Loewen product, and what's neat about that door is the narrow style and rail. So you can use that day in and day out. Sometimes it can be cumbersome going through the lift and slides on a daily basis. So this hinge door product allows for easy access in and out.
Yeah, so if you're grilling out there, you can use that door. But if you're entertaining or partnering, you're lifting this open and making this huge view. Now, how big is this opening when these doors are open, Em?
So when the doors are open, we have a 12-foot wide opening. These are 4 6-foot panels.
Oh my gosh, and 10 foot tall, is that right?
10 feet tall.
So you've got a 12 by 10 wide open with those doors spread out. The downtown's just brought all the way in. And then what's happening with the flooring out here? You've got a sample down for us.
Okay, Matt, what we're doing over here, this is the interior wood floor. We have a
Okay.
mesquite. And then on the exterior, we're doing a stone.
Got
So they're butt up adjacent to this very thin track. So it looks even more seamless
That's
when
really
the doors
cool.
are open.
So the builder then designed this so that you've got a 3/4 inch floor coming in and running flush with this piece on the track.
Sure.
And then your stone is going to be set on pedestals, I'm assuming, outside, right?
Exactly.
That way they can get that. And now you don't have that big, bulky threshold. You've got just a really thin line there. That's really cool. And then I also noticed they've got a tubing system here so that any water that runs down the face of that door and gets into this track system is going to be carried away here. And the builder told me earlier that's all connected with a French drain that's going to run downhill.
Exactly. We care a lot about water.
Yeah,
Get
for
that
sure.
out of the building.
And even though you've got a 20-foot overhang here or
And
something,
we're a little bit. I think we're at 14 feet.
14 feet.
Yeah.
And then pull beyond, and I'm noticing in the ceiling out here, you've got a big pocket. Are those shade pockets? What's going on out there?
That is a concealed shade pocket all the way around. So those columns are 24 feet apart.
Okay.
So when those shades come down, we double the size of the entertaining space from the interior to the exterior.
Oh man, so those actually are both shade and screen?
Exactly. You know, we opted out of drapes, interior drapes, for
Okay.
privacy from downtown because when they do want that privacy, we can just lower those shades. So they do double duty, Matt.
Yeah, so then you've got basically privacy and the screen porch. And then beyond that, you've got this incredible, is that a negative edge pool? Is that what's going on there?
Yes, Matt, that's a negative edge pool.
Oh man, I can envision that water going out and then it looks like you've just got the downtown view beyond the edge of the water. That's really cool.
Yeah.
My guess is this was not an easy install, was it, Emily?
No, I believe not. Yeah, the Loewen guys were amazing, though. They came down and assisted in this project.
Awesome, and we're actually gonna meet the builder in the other room. Tell me about this door that we're gonna go look at in the master, Emily.
You're going to have a lot of fun over there. That was one of my favorite parts to design. that door is perfectly aligned with the spa beyond when you're sitting in the master bed.
Oh man, that's really cool. Emily, great job on this design. Absolutely beautiful. You and Jim and your team killed it here. I'm looking forward to hearing from the builder about some of these details.
Thank you, Matt.
Hey guys, let me introduce you to Wes Wigington, the owner of Foursquare Builders. Wes, impressive job site, man.
Thank you so
You
much.
and your project manager, Kevin, very, very detailed. Very good job over here. Now first, tell me about these windows that are behind us here. This is a curtain wall system, and I noticed you've also got a lot of more standard flange windows. What's the difference between the two?
So, as most of your viewers are aware of, the standard flange windows are, they're typical, they're easy to install. This comes more as a commercial type window system that comes flat packed with a kit of parts. What's interesting with Loewen system is they went to Rayco out of Germany to provide all the precision parts and pieces that assemble, so you get this really tight, crisp installation, and it's just seamless the way it goes together.
So it's a totally easy install then, obviously, right?
It's totally easy with, we were really fortunate. Loewen was able to bring down an installer, qualified installer from the factory out of Canada to spend a week with us down here. Exclusive Windows had their team here, their install team. We had another vendor, Men Services, with their install team. So we had about 7 or 8 men here for a week getting trained to be qualified Loewen timber frame curtain wall installation men. And so it was a learning experience, as you can imagine.
Yeah, so a week basically to install both this corner unit with a lift and slide that pockets and the second big unit that I was just talking about with Emily, right?
That's correct.
That's some serious business.
Exactly right.
Now, before you started doing that window install, Wes, what was the prep like on this opening here in this particular corner unit in the master?
So we're fortunate in today's world in residential that we get to bring in structural steel. Those builders that don't get to use structural steel don't get to do some of the things we get to do because of steel.
That's right.
In this particular instance, we have an overhead I-beam that carries about 12 feet and is cantilevered out past this corner. So there's no structural load on this corner at all of this window system. It's carried by 2 columns back behind me.
Got it. So that's like an F that's been dropped down. The columns are bolted in, and then that steel is cantilevered out.
Right.
And then what's underneath us on the floor
So
system?
we have an I-beam underneath us as well. We're carrying the load of this bedroom, and we have crawl space underneath. Actually, it's walk space. And then we have what's going to be a teak deck outside, which is a waterproof deck as well, so that the space under it is utilized.
Got it. Now let's actually go outside, Wes, because I want to talk to you about how this track system gets installed, which is the first step. Oh man, that door is sweet, Wes.
Glides like butter, man.
I'm sure this was a totally easy install, as simple as that is, right?
Well, it's not a DIY project, I can tell you that.
No, definitely not DIY. You said it took a week between these two to get trained and do it.
Right.
We talked about the header already, but talk to me about what you had to do to prep for this sill.
Right.
Wes.
So we've got quite a bit of transition going on between our framed floor joist system here and our exterior, what is going to ultimately be a wood deck. Right now it's pan deck. So we know we're going to get some movement between these two different surfaces.
Yeah.
So our first layer of waterproofing was a 60 mil polyguard.
Okay, so that's that 60 mil asphaltic peel and stick, kind of like what you'd see for a ice and water shield. You're using that first to span from this concrete deck here to the wood framing.
Exactly right. Then we came over with more of a traditional metal pan. In this case, we use stainless steel, and it was custom built for this particular opening by our
so your
roofing
roofer did that.
contractor.
Yep.
Turn up dams on the end, fully welded in place.
Yep. All soldered corners,
Yep.
beautiful install.
All waterfalled everywhere, turned up back here
Yep.
on the back side.
Okay.
We came back on top of that with another layer you can see here
Of that
polyguard.
Yep.
We did that because we were going to have to drill through this pan to install the mounting points for this track.
Right, so your waterproof pan looks beautiful, but I got to drill some holes through it.
Right. So we have 2 layers of polyguard, which self-heal, as you know.
Yep.
But we still used epoxy in those bolt holes.
Gotcha.
And then we sealed those as well with a sealant before we put this final top coat on.
Now tell me about how this track goes in there, because you just see this tiny little track at the top with both your layers of inside and outside flooring coming in, but this track's pretty important.
Right. Loewen provided us with some amazing adjustable mounting points. This track was, we were able to adjust it both in a vertical and horizontal plane.
Got it.
So we were able to get this completely level, completely plumb, square to this jamb, to that side.
And you've got one of those mounting points about every, what, 12, 16 inches all the way
Roughly
along
about
this
every,
track.
about every 16 inches, exactly right.
And that looks like an all thread, maybe a stainless all thread that you've got a nut on the top and bottom for, so that when you set up your laser, you can get that thing absolutely dead level all the way across.
That's
right?
exactly right.
And then what's on top of this? This looks like a concrete there.
So this self-leveling concrete. Kevin poured this in himself in the end to give us this nice sealed, plumb and square transition, so we can bring our floor out over this hard surface. Our teak is over this hard surface.
Beautiful.
It was a great solution that Kevin came up with.
And tell me about these pipes that I'm seeing here.
Right. So these are drain pipes, and occasionally you can get some water in this track. The door itself does have a rubber H seal that will lock down.
Yeah, so that's going to drop down onto that sill
Right.
and really lock it
Really
in well.
lock.
But if something does get by,
The incidental power washer outside,
Yeah.
or a horizontal rain that we get in Texas occasionally.
Yep.
Any water that gets into here will migrate to these drain pipes. These all collect under the house, and they dump into the PVC pipe, which daylights out in the backyard.
yeah, so if you're in the crawl space, you can actually look up and see those, and those are then going to carry that water out of the building safely without hurting anything.
Exactly right.
Very cool. Okay, so then once that track's down, talk to me about the process of assembling both the structure for this and then the glazing for the windows themselves.
So these doors, what's really nice is, you probably noticed, you don't see any mounting points, screws, bolts, connections, everything's hidden.
Yeah, this is a beautiful
But
system.
it was a full knockdown system. Came, flat packed, as I said earlier, and it took a group of 8 to 9 men to, a week to put this together.
Yeah, and then it gets glazed, and then after all the structure's in place, then it's getting glazed from the outside.
Right.
And that's what's giving you that curtain wall look that looks like a commercial system.
Exactly right.
Now, I don't know the exact numbers and the performance on all the system, but I'll tell you, I was looking at some of the other fixed Loewen windows you had, and if you look at the window sticker, there's some impressive numbers on there, Wes. I was seeing solar heat gain coefficient numbers of like 0.22, 0.23. That's really good for us down in the hot, humid south. It means that we're rejecting most of the sun's energy as it hits the glass. Like 80% of that energy gets ejected out of the building, or rejected, I should say. And then I saw U factors of like 0.26. That's a notch better than most of the glass that I'm seeing here in Texas. Most of the time, our really good glass is like 0.30 to 0.35. So this is even better than that at that 0.26 on this fixed window I saw over here. Impressive stuff from Loewen. Any other final thoughts on this install, Wes?
No, we were grateful to be a part of it. I know that Loewen really stepped up to the plate, brought down some experts to make this look like a simple install. And it took a team. Obviously, Kevin Emmons, our project manager, led the team. He's done a great job with
Impressive.
that. Impressive is to say the least.
Yep.
And so just grateful to be able to show it off today, and I'm glad you could be here for it.
Wes, thanks so much, man.
Yes, sir.
Jim, what an incredible project.
Thanks, Matt.
Beautiful, beautiful design.
Thank
You
you.
guys nailed it here. Any last details or things you wanted to mention before we close this out?
Yeah, I'd like to. And we did nail it because of the guys that we had. So we got Chris Brown with exclusive. We had Loewen people. We got Wes Wigington and Foursquare. But in the design collaboration with Chris and Loewen, we were after one really large window door unit. I didn't want a door unit with windows around it. I wanted a window wall. And so the fenestration of these doors lining up with the vertical mullions,
Yeah, and you can see that right here, right?
you can't see it all the way up. And it's in the closed position, which is how we're going to see this door most of the time. Then when the door's open for those great parties that we're going to have, then it's going to slide all the way back, and the door panel is going to be received by the depth of the jamb. So the whole unit is considered, and all the details are worked out. And I think Loewen, and I think the architects and everybody nailed the whole solution.
Beautiful work. And if you're interested in doing a similar system, number one, it starts out with hiring a great architect. And by the way, Jim does work nationwide. I'll put a link to Jim's description below. Great team here based in Austin. But it also means finding that local dealer that you can trust and that you have a good relationship with. And Chris and the guys at Exclusive Windows and Doors that we bought this Loewen package from worked incredibly well with Jim and his team to get this install. And if I understand right, this is the first time this type of door has ever been installed in Texas. Is that right?
Right, and it's in the right place. It's in Austin, Texas, first time ever.
And with an incredible view
Yeah.
when those doors are open. Incredible. Last thing I want to mention too, Jim, I actually mentioned earlier in the video that I interviewed for this project.
I
I
know,
didn't get
yeah.
it. Wes, my competitor, got it at Foursquare Builders. But that's one thing I think we've done really well here in Austin, and my hope is that other builders, other architects around the country are going to emulate what we're doing here, is that collaboration over competition. Jim had us interview as builders very early with the client, really at the schematic design phase. The client hired the builder under a pre-construction services agreement. Wes and his team worked really well with the design team early so that when you get out to the job site, these details get nailed. It's not like Jim and his team worked in a vacuum and then handed a set of plans off to a construction team never to visit the job site again. You don't get those kinds of details where you've got the inside out with just a tiny little line for that track running through, all the headers lining up perfectly. Those details don't just happen by accident. It starts with a great architect bringing that builder in early and then hiring that builder to really execute the details. And that's how Jim's projects over the years have been so successful. Guys, big thanks to everybody involved. Big thanks to Loewen and Exclusive Windows and Doors also for sponsoring today's video. Link to all those people below. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on The Build Show.
All right.
Thanks,
Well
man.
done.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.